So welcome back to the County Pulse and Prep Red Zone. We're going to be talking this week about the game of the week and several other games. The game of the week this week will be Iroquois West versus Watseka. But before we get to that, I'd like to turn to Jordan and have you talk a little bit about some of the games that you were able to either watch or that are coming up that you're interested this week.
Yeah, so yesterday was Peatone versus Lyle. It's going to be a very good matchup. They both run the double wing offense, so they're very familiar with how to stop, the offense, how to run the offense. And going into it, I actually had Peatone winning by, I think, 14 or 17 points just because of how dominant they've been so far in the season and how, Lyle's struggling in their first three games. I was wrong. Lyle actually came out, punched Peatone in the mouth. Very first drive, just, drove down the field, got a touchdown. And instead of going for one, they were super aggressive, went for two, got the 2-point conversion, went up 8-0. Peatone got the ball back, and Peatone got shut out in a 3-and-out. Lyle's defense, they were shooting the gaps very hard all game, bringing pressure, stacking the boxes, all 11 players. And, as the game went on, turnovers, penalties kind of hurt Peatone throughout the whole entire game. Peatone ended up having injuries in the second half, but, hats off to Lyle. They ended up winning 24-0 to go up to 2-2. Peatone is now 3-1. Peatone's looking to play Wilmington next week, which is going to be, very, very tough matchup for them because Wilmington is a 3A powerhouse. Both of them are very dominant run-heavy offenses and very aggressive teams. The big kind of X factor going into next week for Peatone is what players are going to be healthy because they ended up losing, a few key players for their offense and defense in the end of the Lyle game. So that's just one thing to keep an eye on. Now tonight is Wilmington versus Coal City. Wilmington is a 3A powerhouse ranked in the top 5 through the coaches poll. Coal City is a top 5 team for 4A football, also ranked in the top 5 for the coaches poll. And they run different types of offenses. Wilmington is more of a run-heavy, dominant double wing offense. Coal City, they can run out of the gun, they can run out of the eye, run out of, single back. And they can also have a dominant air attack. They have Asa Cooper, Kyle Gockman, Nick Seplak for running back. Wilmington has Cody Frazen, AJ Myers, and five or six different running backs that can also get the run game going. So this is going to be a very great matchup this week. I'm very interested to see who's going to win this game because, they're both dominant teams. They're both 3-0. They're at the top of the Interstate Central 8 Conference. And, whoever ends up winning this game will end up going to the number 1 spot since Peatone lost yesterday. So that's a great matchup tonight. And then, we have the matchup tomorrow with game of the week, Iroquois West versus Watseka.
Yeah, so let's jump into that and let's talk a little bit about that game. I think that's going to be an interesting game for those two teams south of where we're at, right? South of Kankakee. And is that at Iroquois West?
Yeah.
Okay. So that ought to be a very interesting game. But I'd like you to talk a little bit about it. I know one of those teams, Iroquois West. I got to spend some time with them. Haven't had the opportunity to visit with Watseka, but certainly hope that I do. I think some of those smaller schools not only have some really good kids and players on there and athletes, they're very welcoming, which is not always the case. But I'm sure Watseka is going to be the same as Iroquois West. I've felt like I kind of feel like Iroquois West is kind of my second home. I've was lucky enough to interview on the podcast last year, Coach Teal, and he's such a great guy, done a lot of stuff. Know some of the kids, played with my son in travel ball. They're both playing football now, which we'll talk about here in probably in a little bit. But yeah, I'm interested to hear kind of what your thoughts are on those two teams. I don't know a lot about Watseka. I do know a little bit more on Iroquois West, but if you could certainly give me some thoughts on it, I would appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. So Iroquois West, they have Ty Pankey at quarterback. Austin Miller at running back, and Aiden Tilstra at wide receiver. Also have the Leonard brothers. Clayton Leonard is an offensive guard, being heavily recruited by, Illinois and other D1 schools. For Watsika, they have quarterback Drew Wittenborn, running back Connor Curry, and wide receivers Braden Walwer, Ethan LaBelle, and Braden Haynes. Now, these players are going to be kind of the ones to keep an eye on throughout this game. They're both, all have playmaking abilities, are going to kind of decide where the game goes, so to speak. The biggest thing for Iroquois West is that they're going to want to get the ball running with Austin Miller at the get-go of the game, trying to develop the run game and work the pass off of it. For Watsika, on their offense, it's a little different. For instance, like they have a really great running back in Connor Curry. They'll give him about 20-plus carries a game. But they also run RPOs, run read option with, Wittenborn and Curry to kind of get those fast hitters down the field, kind of decide, what the defense is going to hone on and focus on. So that's why they have that, very strong wide receiver core that can, make a play here and there, take, a 3-yard slant for a 56-yard touchdown, just being that explosive. So that's, where Iroquois West is going to have to hone in on and kind of decide where what it is they want to stop first, right? If they want to play the run first, play the pass first, or if they're just going to go try and, stop it all. The biggest, responsibility for Iroquois West is their gap responsibility so that they can, stop the run, stop the pass, stop, the quarterback run, depending on what option, the quarterback decides to go with in the RPO. This is mainly going to have to do with the discipline of Iroquois West defense to make sure every single person on that defense is in their position every single play. Because if they're not, then that's when, you'll have like a 40, 50, 60-yard plus play break happen because, missing a responsibility or maybe a play just getting, past them. For Watsika, they're really going to have to focus on stopping Iroquois West's run game. That's mainly, like, from what I've seen is, Iroquois West wants to get that run game going early and strong throughout the whole entire game. So if Watsika is able to stop that and, force them to pass, get out of their rhythm, that's going to be very beneficial for them. My prediction for this game is Watsika winning 35-17, only because Watsika is, coming off a hot streak day. 3-0 heading into the season. They've been, able to produce points very easily for their first 3 games. They also came off of a very hard-fought win last week against Seneca in overtime. So that extra momentum and the extra confidence coming into this game, I feel like is going to give them the edge over Iroquois West that has struggled, this far in the season. That being said, I'm not saying, I wouldn't put Iroquois West as like, oh, they're not going to do well. I'd say first half is going to be a very, very close game, a very hard-fought game. Maybe third quarter there might be 1 or 2, big plays led up for Watsika to score. And then in the fourth quarter, Iroquois West might score another touchdown or field goal, and Watsika will also score 1 or 2 more, and that'll just be the end of the game there.
So you've got it broken down on when they're going to score, what they're going to score with, man. You're getting pretty deep into it. So your prediction is Watsika takes this one. What'd you say, 35-17, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think Iroquois West is struggling a little bit this year. They've got a couple key players, like you said, the Leonard brothers. One's 6'8", 6'9", 260. The other one's 6'4", 260, 270. Monster, especially the older one, Clayton. The younger one is a sophomore. He's pretty dominant. He's gotten a lot bigger, filled out a lot. The only reason I speak of those 2 boys is because they played travel basketball with my son, so I know them, know their family, and again, got to meet some of the other kids that we were and players when we were down there doing some stuff before I had my medical hiatus. So, I'm an Iroquois West fan. Nothing against Watsika. I just haven't had a chance to meet him, but I guess if I come down there and get invited down there or whatever, I might become a Watsika fan too. But that's going to be an interesting game to watch. Again, we never know what games are going to be on. what games aren't. I kind of know my games, at BBCHS when they're going to come on, and have links for those. But the other ones we don't know. Some of them are filmed YouTube. Some of them are free through the service. Again, I always have you say the service. It's
It's a NFHS for majority of high school schools.
Yeah, and some of them they're free. Other ones are behind a paywall, so you got to do that. So I'm not for sure on that, but it's going to be a good game for them. And that's going down tomorrow? What time is that happening?
So it's at 1 p.m. for the varsity game.
Okay, very good.
Also, it's predicted 90% chance of rain, so it's going to be a rainy one.
Yeah. Well, the players can work through it. Where I'm at and what I'm doing, I like about 75 and sunny. But who gets to pick that unless you're going to stay home? And like I said last week, if you're a parent, you're not staying home. You're going to weather it. So, which kind of leads me to my next one. And I don't know if you have anything to say about it, but want to talk a little bit about the BBCHS game versus Andrew last week. I was, of course, I was there, played that, watched my kid play that, I should say, and watched him play. And Bradley came out strong. I mean, really strong. I think they've resolved their quarterback controversy or battle that they have between a junior and a sophomore. And Cage Williams is the junior. And the kid came out, I think he was on fire, was moving the ball well. We had a strong wind coming out of the southwest, but he was able to navigate that and do that well. Ethan McCarty in the backfield. You've always got to watch him. He's a stout guy, not big, but fast as all get out. And he was able to make some really good gains there. And then Mark Robinson, who has just played football this year, very fast kid, about 6'4", made a touchdown, really came through there, and that should boost his confidence. But they looked really good. Second half, Andrew kind of got on their horse, and that you mentioned the quarterback there. Can't say much about his arm. Didn't really see a lot of throwing, but he's a tough one. And as our player said, you can't tackle him in open field. He can move and shift on a dime, and he did it. So they came back. Bradley ended up winning 40-28. And, part of that, too, was a really good defense. Defense was able to, really handle their offensive guys, get advantage of them. Grayson Dexter, who I know a little bit about, right? He came through and had a really good game. So did some other kids. We had Hollis Daniels. He came through with a fumble recovery, and he just really did nice. Zach Starr on the outside was another defensive guy that really took it to him. I like Starr on the end. He's able to get around and get to that quarterback, put a lot of pressure on him. So overall, it was a really good game for Bradley. I think they needed it. I know we as parents and fans needed it. And so that kind of leads me into the next thing, which is the preview of the BBCHS Stag game. And that is going to be something that we'll have to kind of watch a little bit and see what happens. Do you have any thoughts on either Bradley or on Stag? And if you can throw a prediction. I mean, look, I threw a prediction out last week, Jordan. I said Bradley's going to win. You kind of scared me a little bit with your talking about their players. So I was telling everybody I was doing pretty good until Jordan rained on my parade, and then they showed up in some graphic that they were a team to watch. But they held their own. So let's just, before we get into the game of Bradley, let's talk a little bit about your record and how you're doing there.
Yeah, so currently I'm 6-1, and my one loss being Peatone losing last night. So, still a winning record, so I'll take it.
So I made a prediction first time. I thought I'd step in that arena. I made a prediction the first time. I'm 1-0. So, as they say, get out while you're on top. I could retire right now and be probably the only undefeated prediction guy in the business, but I'm not going to. I'm actually going to get into a little bit of the preview of BBCHS versus Stag. So quickly, you have any thoughts on that? I know you probably didn't research because you're not doing it. I think you're coming down at the end of the month around the 23rd, 24th for a Bradley game, which I'm letting a lot of our Bradley folks know what's going on. We're going to be playing, I think, Sandburg. So we'll let our Sandburg fans know as well. But you got any thoughts on tonight's game?
So I haven't seen Stag play. I haven't researched their players since maybe end of November, early December. I know they have a few guys that can play. So I don't remember what positions they were, anything of the sort. But I do know that they're a solid football team. That being said, I also know a few guys on BBCHS. McCarty, Dexter. Players like that. So I'm gonna give this a very, very, very blind score. I'm gonna say BBCHS will win 21-17.
Well, very good. So I may come back next week and be 1-1. So this is the problem. You go from you're batting 1,000 to 500, but in baseball that's still pretty good. Yeah, I haven't done a lot of research on Stag. It's my understanding from hearing from one of our cohorts, Coach Big Pete from Deep Dish Football. He talked a little bit about them. He said they're a pretty young team. His thought was Bradley's going to win this game. I think I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go 28-14 Bradley. Now, here's the thing: if we keep winning, right, then we're going to be down to, and keep doing good, we're going to be down to who comes up with a better score. If I start, if I jump into your games, which you do much more research than I do, so I don't know a lot about that stuff. I could do it, but I don't want to. I've got enough to do, right? I've got a health I got to take care of and just get through my recovery. So I'll let you do all the prediction and stuff like that. So this should be an interesting week with these games coming on. Now, going back briefly to the Coal City Wilmington game. Now, that Coal City game, Wilmington game, is that tonight? Is that tomorrow? When did you say that was?
Yeah, so that's tonight at 6 p.m.
Okay. Yeah, so folks that are wanting to check that out, look online. Again, Jordan's good on his Twitter handle. And if you can give that out, maybe at some point I'll put that in there so then that way people know how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just at J. Amsakane. So first initial, last name. It's, very simple.
Okay. And then we're at the County Pulse. So check us out. There's another Pulse, I guess, County something down in Texas, but that's Texas. Who cares about them? But if you go to at the County Pulse, you'll find us. We always try to put stuff up. Jordan's good about putting those things up. So if you're wanting to check things out, make sure you check us out. Also, again, I think it's going to be important to, if you've got time tomorrow, you said at 1:00, right?
Yeah.
Check out that game of the week with Iroquois West of Wilmington. And, from my perspective, and I think hopefully as more people get to looking at things, that they'll appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time, one, to go to the games, two, to take the time to, report on them, even if you can't get to them, you're watching them, and of course the players. So we're lucky to have you, especially being in this area. We've been wanting to get some recognition for our kids down here. We think our kids, when they're born, they're not any different than kids that are born anywhere else. We have some very talented kids, just like they do up north, down south, in the St. Louis area. So part of that is just getting them recognition, and that's what our goal is. So by you being kind of tied into the community to some extent, getting out there. I think it's great, especially with these schools. It's easy to cover the 7As, the 8As, the bigger schools, but you can get down to some of these schools, 1A, 2A, 3A. It's really good. So I appreciate you, man, for what you do, and I'm sure folks watching this will appreciate it. And we'll have this up later today. Just got to do a little editing, put some stuff in. I'll try on our, we put up on YouTube, then we share that. I'll try to, if I can, put through chapters. I just don't want to make it too late for anybody, so they can hear a little bit about some of the games going on tonight, which is going to be Coal City, Wilmington, and of course BBCHS Stags. So with that, I don't have anything else. Good luck on your predictions. Good luck on my predictions. I went from being nervous watching my kid play to being nervous watching my kid play and hoping that they score the points I say they're going to score and they win. So I don't know if that's the wise thing to do, Jordan, but what the heck? It's all fun and games until someone pokes their eye out. So I appreciate it, brother, and we will talk next week. If you're watching this or if you had a chance to watch a portion of this, just, one, subscribe to the channel. Two, make sure you share it with your friends, your coaches, your fellow fans. Maybe at some point too, we'll start having fans on and see what they think, if everybody can control themselves, right?
Yeah.
Which could be a dangerous thing, but we're talking about having kids on, so that's a dangerous thing too. So, but I appreciate your time, brother. You have anything else for the week for us?
No, just, going out to the games, getting those out there, and then writing up some articles. I might also start doing kind of mid-season tape review, for each position, like 10, 15 players, just to go more in detail instead of just a game overview, talking more about specific player kind of skill set and kind of how they've been doing so far. So if you have any film, just send it my way and I can, put you in an article as well.
Well, I think it's important, and I think it's really important that we talk about players who are on these teams. If you're wanting recognition, in fact, we spent some time today and last night talking with a player and a parent up north in Lake Forest who's really trying to get traction going for a 2021, his son. And we're talking about doing different stuff, right? We're here to make sure that we can get stuff out to the coaches. So whether you're 2021, 2022, heck, we're into 2023, and there is some people talking about 2024s. But get your information out to Jordan. Tag Jordan on it. Tag Prep Red Zone Illinois. Tag Prep Red Zone. Tag the County Pulse. Because without that, we get so much stuff that it's hard to keep up with us. So if you're out there and you're watching, whether you're a parent or a player, take the time to make sure that you follow the right people, get stuff there, and try to get your ability out to those coaches, what you're doing on the field, because you could be doing a great job every week, but if it's not getting on the film and you're not promoting it, nobody knows. So get that to Jordan. That's real simple to do. Everybody probably has Huddle. Take your Huddle highlights, send them to Jordan, send them to me, tag us in it, and we will definitely do our best to get as much exposure for you as possible.
Yeah.
Well, again, thanks, Jordan. We will talk to you next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Pleasure as always, and we'll see, which one of us will right on that score prediction for the BBCHS game.
Right here, man. Right here. These skinny arms are gonna get it done. So now I wish you luck, man. So and I wish all the teams luck and to be safe this week. And I'm gonna say some people may not like, but wear your mask. Continue to do the social distancing. I'm concerned, at least from our county's perspective, our numbers are going up again, and it's only going to take to get up to a certain level, and then they're going to shut the season down. We got a little ways to go. So let's do the things that are right, whether you agree with it, you don't agree with it. Do the things that are right to make sure we can keep our numbers down, because it's all about the kids. We got to get the kids playing and keep the kids playing. So we've accomplished the first goal. Let's get the second goal, and then we'll get into fall and hopefully have that COVID thing kicked, and we'll be right into a good, strong season of fall ball and playoffs and state championships. So again, thanks, Jordan, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.